it first, and everything else will follow. And the reason for that is, we have a lot of people in this country who are living paycheck to paycheck, who are financially fragile. They couldn't really come up with a couple $1,000s if they needed it to fix the transmission. You can solve for everything by saving before you spend. So you get paid, you put some money into savings, whether it's your emergency fund or your 401k, you leave it there, hands off, and the rest of it works itself out.
I mean, if you're financially fragile, how do you, if there's nothing to save, how do you do that? Easier said than done.
Well, I got to say, I've never seen a budget where I could not find some money to save. And so I think that it becomes a matter of reorganizing your priorities. And yes, people are stretched thin. I don't want to discount that. But the same people who for years said that they couldn't afford health insurance were spending $300 a month on their cell phone bills. So I think it's a matter of really taking a look at what you need versus what you want, and figuring out where you're willing to make compromises. People who talk about money for a living like me, we drive people crazy with the coffee example, because we just talk about how, if you stop buying the $3 cup of coffee every single day, then you would have thousands of dollars at the end of the year. The most important thing about that is not that it's coffee. It's just that we all spend on things that aren't really that meaningful to us. And so if you can get yourself to focus your financial energies on things that you do value, you'll be able to get rid of the stuff that doesn't necessarily bring you a lot of meaning.
What's one of the biggest things that you think that people, outside of, your triple mocha latte from Starbucks, what is something that commonly people could be saving a bunch of money on and they don't even realize it?
Three things. Food. Food is huge. And
yeah, because it's so superfluous. Who needs it?
Well, no, it's not that. It's just we eat out constantly, or we order in constantly, depending on where you live, or we go to the grocery store too often and we don't bring a list. If you can get yourself to just do a little more planning in the area of food, you can save yourself a huge amount of money. Also, look at the monthly bills. And when I'm talking about the regular monthly bills, the cell phone, the cable, the internet, the things that you've subscribed to that you're not really using. Go through them every 6 months. Just make a phone call and see if you can either get rid of the things that you're not using or reduce the ones that you are. And you'll save a lot of money there. And then interest rates. If you're paying interest rates on your credit cards or your student loan and you haven't tried to refinance those interest rates and bring them down, or transfer your balance, or call your credit card company and ask for a lower rate of interest, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Her podcast is called Her Money with Jean Chatzky. Jean Chatzky joining us on the Wake Up Call. Taxes. You talk a lot about checking facts and figures. Even if you have somebody that does your taxes and you think about the number of returns that they're doing in a year, it makes a lot of sense. But I mean, how many people do that, myself included, that actually go over the numbers just to double check?
Yeah, we've got a problem with people. People are working in the gig economy these days, and we're getting a lot more 1099s, W-2s. If the numbers that you give the IRS doesn't match up with the numbers that your employer or employers give to the IRS, your return's going to get kicked right back. If you transpose a digit in your Social Security number, you may not, we all do our taxes these days using computer programs, at least most of us. We use TurboTax, or if we use a tax preparer, they use a computer program, which means that the math errors aren't going to happen. But if you input the wrong numbers, it doesn't matter if the math errors happen or not. The numbers are still going to be wrong, so you got to check that stuff. I
don't know if you have the data, but I mean, when it comes to people, and like you said, more and more are going to the computer programs. What do you think of those? And you did mention one. Is there one that's better than the other? Do you have kind of a subtle endorsement for one?
I think I'm a TurboTax fan. I've used it. They're largely all very good. But I think doing it by hand these days is insane.
Sure.
Okay, so question then. Which is going to save you more? Going to an actual CPA or using one of the computer programs?
Going to an actual person often does two things, and you said a CPA, and so, a CPA is very different than a tax preparer. A CPA is going to help you with tax planning. It's going to look at your life and say, hey, you've got a big root canal coming up, and you've got another medical procedure. If you bunched all of those medical procedures into one calendar year rather than having half of them in 2016 and half of them in 2017, then your medical expenses might be enough for you to hit the medical deduction, and that could save you a lot of money. So having those sorts of conversations with people is really, really helpful. So I would give the human being an edge over the computer. But I think for most people, a computer is a really good, cost-effective way to go.
I was going to say, following up then, on a tax preparer, which is better then, the tax preparer or just go with the computerized?
It's really hard to generalize because there's so many different tax preparers, and like every profession, some are better than others.
Okay.
Where can people get information on the podcast?
So you can get it from my website, which is jeanchatsky.com, or you can just go to iTunes. And Her Money, by the way, is one word. It's kind of like harmony, but it's Her Money.
Oh.
And Her Money with Jean Chatsky, you'll find it in the business listings. And please sign up and please listen and leave us a review if you like it.
And if you don't?
And if you don't, you can tell us that too. We want to hear from people, and we want to know what sort of guests they want on the show and what conversations are most interesting.
Jean, thanks for being a guest on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with the podcast, Jean Chatsky. On again the podcast Her Money with Jean Chatsky. You see her on the Today Show, and now she's got the wake-up call to put on her resume, which I'm sure will be there loud and proud. 6:50, 10 away from 7 o'clock on 1120 KPNW. With a little bit of sun here, some cloud cover and overcast skies. Rain coming in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Have some precipitation, and then, of course, just in time for the weekend, we've got a good-looking weekend, at least on paper at this point. Coming up, we're going to talk maybe some spring cleaning with somebody from a home expert from Consumer Reports, and talk about the book that's coming up, too.
Yeah, pretty interesting. It's about the U-550, which was a German sub that attacked and sunk a ship off the U.S. coast during World War II. It was subsequently sunk by a number of warships under kind of mysterious circumstances. So those stories, or that story, coming up with the author of a fascinating book about it.
Cloudy and 48 degrees at 1120 KPNW.
Tune in to Real Estate Today, weekdays at 5:30 p.m.
I'm Bob Nelson, real estate investment broker and exchange specialist. Cascade Exchange Services is my choice for completing tax-deferred exchanges. Megan McMahon, who's a CPA, is my choice of the person to handle my tax-deferred exchanges. It's a locally owned company. They do business on a nationwide basis, same-day document preparation, and she's always available for free and very excellent consultation. Contact Megan at Cascade Exchange Services.
Whether it's new or recycled office furniture, Oregon's most respected office furniture dealer is Office Furniture Direct in Portland, selling furniture throughout the state. Office Furniture Direct has clients up and down I-5 and is making trips into Eugene every month and can be your source for the best price and finest installation. Save money on quality office furniture at Office Furniture Direct at ofd-pdx.com.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-700-5105. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free. And it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-700-5105. That's 1-800-700-5105. 1-800-700-5105.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Here's another thing to ask yourself when considering any investment. What's the opportunity for appreciation? Recently I told you that you should be looking for cash flow because the price of anything you can buy and sell fluctuates. And unless it's something that's growing, and you can prove that to yourself, the income stream may be all you can count on. However, gains in your capital are an important component of reaching and maintaining financial security, especially now when compounding interest at current rates is not going to get the job done. Here's the nugget. It's been said that you make your profit in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. What that means is that you must try to buy it cheap and not count on movements in the market to offer up a gain. The same thing applies to virtually anything you invest in, whether it's a stock, bond, commodity, or a stamp coin or a Barbie doll. Part of the problem is this often means loving something when everyone else hates it, because most of the time stuff only gets cheap when no one wants it. The trick, of course, is to figure out if it's really cheap and why, and then act. But that's hard for most people to do, especially in the heat of the moment, and why you need to think about what you might want to buy or sell and at what price long before the opportunity to do so presents itself. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman to save money.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We do have mostly cloudy skies as well as patchy dense fog off and on. Now, while the fog will burn off by 11 a.m., the cloud cover will be a little harder to get rid of. If you're on your way out now, temps right now are in the mid to upper 40s. Light winds out of the south at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we make it a couple hours of partly cloudy skies, but by late afternoon, mostly cloudy skies will start to roll back in from an approaching storm system. Temps look to be pretty good, though, in the mid to upper 60s in most locations. We're tracking a storm system for Tuesday night into Wednesday and another cold front that'll take the highs back into the 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
Stocks are rising in early trading with investors bracing for the start of what is forecast to be the biggest earnings slump since the financial crisis. But right now, the Dow is up 92 points at 17,667. The S&P 500 is ahead about 9 or almost 0.5% at 2057. And the NASDAQ is up 19 at 4869. Shares of Alcoa are up about 2.2%. The aluminum producer unofficially kicks off the reporting season after the closing bell. Analysts are projecting overall first quarter profits will fall 10% compared with calls for flat earnings growth at the start of the year. Meanwhile, today President Barack Obama meets with Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen to discuss the long-term economic outlook, and the White House says the meeting will also focus on the state of the global economy and Wall Street reforms. Crude oil up 1.6% at $40.35 a barrel. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Yesterday, you might remember I reported the news that starvation no longer threatens humanity because the world has too much food, according to Bloomberg. And because of all this cheap, high-calorie food, the fat now outnumber the starving. Well, along with too much food, folks, there's now another problem. Yeah, you know what it is? We have too many workers. The Washington Post says that that's the reason America and other nations are suffering from economic anxiety and slow economic growth and stagnant incomes. And this theory comes from an outfit called Third Way. It's a Democrat think tank that tells everybody they're a bunch of centrists, but they're a bunch of commie libs. They embrace leftist policies. They say the global workforce has dramatically expanded as China, India, and other developing nations have grown. So the world has too much cheap labor, and the ripple effect is responsible for America's poor economic performance. It can't be Obama. It can't be the Democrats. No, the solution, America needs more infrastructure spending, more roads and bridges. Yeah, more Obama-style trillion-dollar porculus programs.
To the way these people think, this is pure genius. But this solution has been at the top of the Democrat Party playbook since the days of FDR, and it's never worked. The truth is there aren't too many workers. The real problem is there are too few jobs under liberalism. And there's only one solution: real economic growth, fueled by private enterprise, fostered by lower taxes, less government spending, basically conservatism. If you just beat Democrats, and we can fix what's wrong. Folks, I want to introduce you to John Maxwell, the undisputed leader, international speaker, and best-selling author in the personal growth and leadership development business. There's always time in your life to learn more, folks. And Maxwell's words and suggestions have done more to help people grow in their lives, their careers, and their communities than anyone else in his industry. I know John Maxwell, and his team of coaches and trainers can fundamentally change your life and help you to learn and grow in all the ways you're interested in. Partner with John Maxwell. Use John's brand, his program, and his resources to benefit yourself. This program is the gold standard in the industry of personal growth. Whether you're a corporate manager, own your own business, you need a stronger team. Invest in yourself and benefit from great growth and learning. Find out more online today. JohnMaxwellRadio.com.
Depend on us for breaking news from the local neighborhood to the global one. We are News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony, calling it rigged and crooked. Donald Trump is upset Ted Cruz has won all 34 delegates in another state.
The people of Colorado are complaining that they're not allowed to vote.
And here's what the Republican frontrunner is talking about.
This year, Colorado picked delegates through a convention instead of a more traditional primary or caucus. The Cruz campaign is saying, hey, we won through hard work and superior organization.
That's Fox's Kristen Fisher. Donald Trump is also calling ridiculous what CIA Director John Brennan told NBC News.
I would not agree to having any CIA officer carrying out waterboarding again.
Even if Brennan says the next president orders him to. Critics call it torture. Trump and Cruz disagree, wanting to bring waterboarding back as an enhanced interrogation tool for terror suspects. A former CIA operative who was not in Italy when she and other Americans were convicted years ago over the handling of a terror suspect may actually have to face the music there. Fox's Simon Owens live in our European bureau.
Dave, Sabrina de Souza losing an appeal against extradition from Portugal to Italy. The former CIA officer is wanted in connection with a case dating back to 2003 when a terror suspect was kidnapped in Milan under the US Extraordinary Renditions Program. He was taken to Egypt for interrogation before being released. Italy has since convicted 26 Americans in the case, but all of them in absentia. De Souza faces a 6-year prison term, although would likely be given the chance to appeal. She's previously denied wrongdoing. Dave?
Simon, ISIS has taken control back of a town in Syria along the Turkish border after rebel forces had seized the town days ago. The man accused of murdering a former Saints NFL player Will Smith after a traffic altercation Saturday goes to court today in New Orleans.
Cardell Hayes was arrested at the scene. The murder weapon recovered. The 28-year-old has been charged with second-degree murder and is being held on $1 million bond.
That's Fox's Casey Siegel. Will Smith did have dinner earlier that night with one of the police officers involved in Hayes' father's shooting death in 2005. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Michelob Ultra is more than a superior light beer. It's taking in all life has to offer, like catching a wave or biking a long trail. And when you're done, you reach for a cold Michelob Ultra. Fewer carbs, fewer calories, more to look forward to. Michelob Ultra. Long live the ultra life. Enjoy responsibly. Michelob Ultra Light Beer, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 0.6 grams of protein, and 0 grams fat per 12-ounce serving. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
My biggest concern was my daughter's safety. We were so apart from each other. My other concerns were the leaks in the wall, the mice running around.
We're in darkness, but there's always a little bit of light, and if people help, the light becomes greater.
I'm proud of my home, and I'm proud of all that it took to build it.
Because of this house, our family has become united.
You can change the lives of families in your community and around the world. Join us. Habitat. We build.
Stocks are up pretty big to start the week on Wall Street, where Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalides is live.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 128 points at 17,704. Dave, we're seeing the Nasdaq up 33 points and the S&P 500 up 11. So all three of the major averages gaining more than 0.5% today. And we're seeing some movers as well. Hertz rental car as well as Avis Budget coming under pressure. This, as Hertz said, it expects first quarter and full year car rental revenue to be lower than expected. Yahoo, on the other hand, has an up arrow up 1.5% as Britain's Daily Mail may be in talks with potential partners to buy into the company's internet assets. Dave.
Thank you very much, Nicole. The price of oil is up nearly $1, back over $40 a barrel. Its recent rise keeps making gas more expensive, but there's another factor, too.
Federal regulations requiring summer blend gasoline, which costs them more to make.
Analyst Tripoli Lundberg's nationwide survey of stations has regular up 8 cents the past 3 weeks to $2.10 a gallon. Her highest price this year. AAA's average is less at $2.04. Two superheroes have met their match at the box office. A comedian.
Number one, but barely.
My name is Michelle Darnell, and I am the wealthiest woman in America.
That's Melissa McCarthy as the boss in her new R-rated comedy about a businesswoman trying to make a comeback after her conviction for insider trading. The boss took in an estimated $23.5 million, narrowly edging out
Mr. Wayne, Clark Kent.
Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice second with $23.4 million. Disney's Zootopia third, making another $14.4 million. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 finishing fourth with $6.4 million. Jane Metzler, Fox News.
In the NBA, the Warriors have tied a record, winning their 72nd game, beating the Spurs. If Golden State wins their last game Wednesday, they'll break the 95-96 Chicago Bulls mark with 73 wins in a season. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
705 News Radio 1120 KPNW from the Widmer Brothers Studios. It is the Wake Up Call, live and local here in Eugene, Springfield. That same Eugene, Springfield that will be enjoying and is enjoying a little cloud cover. Clouds and some overcast action today with a little bit of sun ringing through, and we'll say mid-60s for your top temperature. Currently 48 degrees at 1120 KPNW. You heard top of the hour news. Apparently still making money. And the reviews have been, I'll say, lukewarm at best. I've seen a couple that were okay, but a lot of folks not enjoying the Batman versus Superman.
Moviegoers enjoyed it much more than the critics.
Yeah.
And if I was a movie critic, just being a movie critic, I would have said, yeah, this pretty much sucks. And a lot of it did suck, the Superman Batman movie, except for Batman. I have to say it. I don't care what anybody says. Ben Affleck is the only redeeming part of the movie.
So how do you rate him as far as Batmans of all time? Movie Batmans.
Closest to the comic books of any of them. Absolutely. Christian Bale was good, but the growly, the voice, that thing was just so lame.
That kind of wore quick.
I hated that. The way that Affleck does and the way they did in this movie was just like a little voice box thing, like those things the little microphones you get into and you talk into them and it synthesizes your voice. That's the way they do it in this. Smart. It was overly long, messy script, needed more Batman.
I heard a clip and I was like, who is that annoying? And it was Jesse Eisenberg who plays Lex.
Horrible. It's like, okay.
Poor choice of casting.
We had Heath Ledger do the Joker. We don't need to have Jesse Eisenberg doing Heath Ledger doing Lex Luthor. His Lex Luthor was the worst. Absolutely the worst. It was kind of like, okay, so how would I play Lex Luthor if Mark Zuckerberg were Lex Luthor and I was in that movie again? It's like, really? This is the best you could come up with for Lex Luthor, you think back at the different people that have played it. Kevin Spacey in Superman Returns was a great Lex Luthor. Really good.
Jesse Not so much.
No,
right.
Absolutely not.
All right, stand by. We got a break. News coming up. Stand by. Don't go anywhere. 7:08 on 1120 KPNW.
Burrito Amigos salutes the letter T. In English, T usually denotes the voiceless alveolar plosive, as in the words tap and tame, or taco, torta, and tostada, which really aren't English words, but if you're going to use examples, they should be delicious. And if they start with a T and they come from Burrito Amigos, well, they are. Now you can have your tortas, tacos, and tostadas with chicken, shredded beef, carne asada, made with certified black Angus, or adobada, an amazing, spicy, tasty grilled pork. And none of those selections have the letter T, but Carnitas does. So if you're a voiceless alveolar plosive purist, then you'll enjoy that in your Burrito Amigos torta, taco, and tostada. In case you're wondering, a torta is sort of a grilled sandwich made on torta bread. Tamales and taquitos are also delicious Burrito Amigos T words. So is tofu, which some people want in their burritos from Burrito Amigos. Burrito Amigos, they didn't invent the letter T, they just made examples using it more delicious. Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, working their way through the alphabet, one tasty treat at a time.
When the sun comes out, the critters are up and moving. SM Gun Shop wants you to be ready. Get a head start on varmint season with huge savings on Black Hills 223 plus special wall-to-wall pricing. It's only at SM Gun Shop on River Road in Eugene, Lane County's most established gun store. Lane Transit District is now hiring bus operators. Candidates must have 2 years of experience providing excellent customer service and a good 5-year driving record. You don't need a CDL to apply, and LTD provides an 8-week training course when hired. Starting wage is $18.46 an hour plus an excellent benefits package including medical, dental, vision, retirement, and vacation. Work for a union with great people at a great company in the Eugene-Springfield area. Apply online at ltd.org. That's ltd.org.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but you grew up and things changed. Well, it's time to put it back on your list. Innovative things are happening in teaching today, and you can be a part of it.
Make more. Teach. Visit teach.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
This is News Radio 1120 KPNW. And we've got the local story of the morning wake-up call.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed, locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Well, fire crews battled an industrial fire at Weyerhaeuser Company on Bertelsen Road in West Eugene Saturday. The first calls came in around 10:30 Saturday night, with Eugene and Springfield fire crews rolling onto the scene by about 10:40. Because the fire was at a lumber mill, firefighters initially responded with more crews and extra equipment. Because of that, the fire was quickly limited to a small area. Greg Miller, a spokesperson for Weyerhaeuser, says the damage was minor. The impact will be limited and short. Repair crews moved in Sunday, trying to decide when to open the plant. The decision on that will be made today. About 170 people work at the plant. 30 people were evacuated that night. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire is still undetermined. The city of Eugene bought 100 acres of forest land that includes a hill with views and plans to make it part of the city's Ridgeline Trail system. City Parks Planning Manager Neil Bjorklund says that the $850,000 purchase was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The 100 acres has 3 adjacent parcels near Lane Community College, all purchased near the end of 2015. 2 of the parcels cost make that $675,000. A third was $175,000. Money for the land came from a park bonds measure voters approved in 2006. Bjorklund says the new lands are currently closed because the area contains potential hazards yet to be addressed. It has no trails and no signs marking boundaries with private property. A 17-year-old boy is under arrest for the murder of a Portland woman on the University of Texas at Austin campus. Brad Ford has the details on how police eventually identified the suspect.
Police got a tip from a woman who saw a person similar to the suspect start a fire in a dumpster.
APD also responded to the fire scene and located the trash container, which contained several items which we believe to belong to our victim.
Police Chief Art Acevedo says they knew Mikhail Kreiner was at a homeless shelter. When they arrested him, he had a duffel bag similar to the one owned by Haruka Weiser. Acevedo says while he didn't know the victim, he's learned a lot from her family.
Whoever she touched, it was a blessing, and I'm just glad and thankful that we're going to bring justice to that family.
Kreiner is facing first-degree murder charges, and police say they're certain he is the suspect in the girl's death. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Now, authorities say the lives of those two young people were dramatically different. 18-year-old victim Haruka Weiser was a dance major from Portland, Oregon, with plans to study medicine. Her suspected killer, 17-year-old runaway Michael Khalil Kreiner, was intellectually disabled, abandoned by his mother as an infant and in Texas foster care. He's currently jailed in Travis County on $1 million bond. His grandmother in Texarkana, Texas, is planning to travel to Austin to be with him today. Well, an analysis of Environmental Protection Agency data found that nationwide nearly 1,400 water systems serving over 3.6 million Americans have exceeded the federal lead standard at least once between January of 2013 and September of 2015. They include 278 systems that are owned and operated by schools and daycare centers in 41 states. Some of those are in Oregon. Northwest Water Systems with lead level samples that have exceeded 15 parts per billion based on data provided by the EPA's Safe Drinking Water Information System in Oregon. Now, this is just a partial list, but locally they include Periwinkle Mobile Home Park in Eugene, the city of Drain, Kidco Head Start, Sunnyside in Lebanon, Corvallis Waldorf Association School in Corvallis, Lebanon Union High's Land Lab in Lebanon, the Wayne Bucks School Water System in Corvallis, and the Emerald Christian Academy in Pleasant Hill. Oregon Governor Kate Brown says the state's economy is continuing to rebound, but the state faces new challenges this year to protect residents from pollution, according to Brad Ford.
The pollution from small glass manufacturers in the Portland area exposed a gap in air quality regulations. In her State of the State address, Governor Kate Brown says she's taken steps to solve the problem.
It's time the regulation of industrial air emissions caught up with scientific evidence connecting environmental quality and public health.
She says the state has turned the corner in its recovery from the Great Recession, but she says more needs to be done to help small businesses. The governor says she's proud of the way Oregonians handled the recent armed takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge.
When the chips are down, we unite as one state.
The governor says a transportation package is a priority for the next legislative session. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Over the weekend, Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz won Colorado's presidential nominating contest at the state convention there. During an interview with Fox and Friends this morning, rival Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner, slammed the system by which delegates are secured as unfair and undemocratic.
I won, as an example, South Carolina. I won it by a landslide, like a massive landslide, and now they're trying to pick off those delegates one by one. That's not the way democracy is supposed to work. And, you know, they offer them trips, they offer them all sorts of things, and you're allowed to do that. I mean, you're allowed to offer trips, and you can buy all these votes. What kind of a system is this? Now, I'm an outsider, and I came into the system, and I'm winning the votes by millions of votes. But the system is rigged. It's crooked.
It's not clear at this point if Trump is going to garner 1,237 delegates needed to win the Republican nomination on the first ballot at the party's convention in Cleveland in July. The first semi-major forest fire of the season was sparked Friday, burning 7.1 acres in Sweet Home. The fire was located near the Santiam Highway at the intersection of Soda Fork Road.
The fire started from an electrical problem down by a well house that came from was next to the shop structure.
Sweet Home Fire Chief Dave Behringer says personnel from Sweet Home Fire and Ambulance District, ODF, the U.S. Forest Service, and Cascade Timber Consultants responded to the incident. They had it completely under control by Friday evening. Pacific Power is going to be installing nearly 600,000 smart meters for Oregon customers. Brad Ford says it helps Pacific Power and will give you more detail on the power you use.
Smart meters allow Pacific Power to read your meter remotely. When you log in, you'll be able to see within a day how much power was used.
You can make some adjustments and go, gee, I didn't realize the old washing machine, was that bad.
Tom Gont with Pacific Power says he'll start installing the new meters in 2018 and should be complete the next year. Customers will get notification and the process is fast.
We really only take about 5 minutes per household.
The change will save Pacific Power in the long run because they won't have to manually read the meters. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
The federal government and big energy companies have lost a round in their effort to block a climate change lawsuit Sponsored by adults using young plaintiffs who contend that the U.S. is failing to protect them from the harmful effects of greenhouse gases. U.S. Magistrate Judge Thomas Coffin in Eugene rejected motions by the U.S. government and trade groups representing the energy companies to dismiss the lawsuit by 21 plaintiffs ages 8 to 19. U.S. District Judge, or a U.S. District Court judge, has the final say over whether the lawsuit proceeds to trial. The plaintiffs contend the release of dangerous carbon monoxide emissions into the atmosphere is a violation of their young constitutional rights. They want the U.S. government to be forced to create a plan that would significantly cut emissions. Well, a man is expected to recover after deputies shot him in Northwest Oregon. The Washington County Sheriff's Office and Forest Grove Police responded to a disturbance at a home in Cornelius. A neighbor said a man was breaking windows and causing property damage. Sergeant Bob Ray says deputies and officers found 54-year-old Greg Howard Moore to be uncooperative. The encounter escalated, and Ray says Moore was shot at least once. Moore refused to leave the house for more than an hour and was eventually taken into custody. Ray said Moore had outstanding felony warrants. The Washington County Major Crimes Team is investigating that shooting. And what a difference between the winter of 2014 and the winter of 2015. Brad Ford says farmers and ranchers in many parts of the state are grateful for snow, and lots of it.
Snowpacks in most of Oregon's mountains are in good shape despite warmer than normal temperatures.
This winter was one of our warmest. It was the seventh warmest on record.
Margaret Matter, a resource specialist with the Oregon Department of Agriculture, says snowpacks are above average and the precipitation means no parts of Oregon are in extreme drought, but that doesn't mean everything's green.
There are some places to keep an eye out. The Klamath and the Umatilla are probably going to have a little lower.
Areas that have been extremely dry will need more winters like this one before they return to normal, and hoping for a cool spring, which will cause the snowpack to last longer into the summer. Brad Ford, KPNW.
This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
7 holes away from a second consecutive green jacket. That was Jordan Spieth's scenario at the Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta yesterday. Then he hit his golf ball in the water twice and the sand once. This is what it sounded like on CBS.
He's never hit one that fat in his life. I'm losing count, Frank. How many's in the back of the bunker now?
5. 5 at 10, 5 at 11.
That's Nick Faldo, one of 3 golfers in history to win back-to-back Masters championships, talking about Jordan's debacle, taking away his chance to be a repeat winner. Well, the 22-year-old Texan had led wire to wire to that point, but his quadruple bogey opened the door for 28-year-old Danny Willett, who went on to win by 3 strokes. As tradition mandates, he had to get help with his green jacket from the past champion, Jordan. Thoughts of Greg Norman's meltdown was had by thousands across America. Jordan Spieth, this too will pass. NBA, the Golden State Warriors tied the Chicago Bulls in wins in a season after they beat San Antonio there yesterday, 92-86. Pretty remarkable feat as the home team has won every game this season. Warriors can get their record-breaking 73rd win on Wednesday against the Grizzlies. Oregon Ducks baseball team won their series with Cal. The softball team swept the Beavers in Corvallis. The Oregon women track and field team won their meet, the Pepsi Invitational, with the men tying for first at Hayward over the weekend. And the Oregon men's basketball team got another future player from a Wyoming JC. Cavell Bigby Williams, a 6'10 power forward, chose Oregon over Arizona State, Texas, Utah, and several others. Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle, your authority in sports nutrition since 1991 on Franklin, across from Market of Choice in Eugene. News time, 7:22.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out in the next few minutes, we have a little bit of patchy dense fog off and on out there. Expect that to burn off by about 11 a.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies are dominating, with temps right now in the mid to upper 40s and light winds out of the south at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we'll get a couple hours of partly cloudy skies, but right into the late afternoon, the mostly cloudy skies will come rushing back in. That'll be from an approaching storm system. Highs, though, will be on the warm side, mid to upper 60s out there. We do have a very small chance of isolated showers late tonight in the overnight hours, and we'll see winds this afternoon shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
This winter, we received more rainfall than in the past 75 years. Severe weather can cause damage to your home's foundation. Ramjack can fix that. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com.
CCB 146906.
Hi, everybody. This is Don, contractor, Builders Electric. Have you ever found yourself still working on a project or idea after everyone else has quit on it? Or you didn't really think the project could fail, so you kept on trying to make it work? Well, you can consider yourself a success for taking that path, because William Feather once told a group of workers, success seems to be largely a matter of hanging on. As he called it, hanging on is required to make those ideas work. Too many people give up too early, find themselves just hanging instead of hanging on. So if you're still hanging on to something alone, stay there. It might work. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CCB number 4296.
Shopping for your next grill at Midgley's is easy and convenient. Unlike home improvement stores, a walk across Midgley's doesn't require a relay baton. We know all about grills, too. Just don't ask us about sandpaper or toilet seats. And you don't need to remember where you parked. Our customer-friendly lot is directly behind our store. Get your next grill at Midgley's. We're at 7th and Chambers in Eugene. Midgley's. Anywhere else, and you're just playing with fire. CCB 161946.
I'm not a bodybuilder.
I am not an athlete.
I'm not into health clubs.
I do not eat junk food.
I am not a young man anymore.
I am exercising daily. I am feeling great.
I am loving life.
I am Max Muscle. Max Muscle Sports Nutrition, Franklin Boulevard, Eugene.
It's finally happened. The best real estate market in a decade. Low inventory coupled with low interest rates equals top dollar for your house in today's market. If you want to sell within your time frame and get the most money possible, now is the time.
Harpole Real Estate with Keller Williams will ensure a stress-free move for you. Not all agents are the same. In fact, Eric, Jeanette, and their team outsell all other agents and teams in Lane County. Since 2009, they've helped 150 more families sell and move than the number 2 agent. The reason? Better marketing and better negotiating. And unlike other agents, they offer flexible commissions. Their exclusive enhanced listing program, and if you're not happy, fire them. You are in control.
Call for a free no-pressure consultation, 541-286-3030 or at harpolehomes.com. If you live in Douglas County, Harpole Real Estate can help you too. Now you have a real estate team that can get your home sold. 541-286-3030.
We'll do it live.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway and London.
We'll do it live.
1120 KPNW.
This is boring as burnt toast.
726 News Radio, 1120 KPNW. Thanks for being with us this morning. Well, I had a chance to read the book, Where Divers Dare, The Hunt for the Last U-Boat, and I have to say the one thing that I came away from it with is I do not ever in my life want to be a salvage diver of any kind. The author of the book, Randy Peffer, joins us on the Wake Up Call. And Randy, you were just in Portland like a week or two ago taking a look at the last of the PT boats, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for having me on the show. But I was up there doing a story, a feature story about the PT 658 in Portland, which really is the last operational PT boat, U.S. PT boat in the world. So you got an amazing artifact there in your corner of the world.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, you've written a number of books, and most of them have a nautical angle. What is the appeal for you of the nautical books?
Well, I guess it goes back to my father, who was a career Navy officer. But I'm just one of those guys who loves boats. I mean, some people love dogs. I love boats, and I've been a commercial mariner for 40 years and a tall ship captain. So it's not rational.
When you say a tall ship captain, you're talking about one of the large-masted sailing ships. Where do you even get a chance to be a captain of one of those, other than barefoot cruises out of Florida?
Well, this is a research boat where I spent most of my time that works for Phillips Academy in Massachusetts in marine sciences. So it's a schooner, traditional, wooden, big.
Yeah. How cool is that?
And we go out and chase whales and study them.
All right. Well, let's talk about, let's get into the story of the book. And I'm just going to give kind of a little bit of a nutshell here and then let you expand on it. The story has to do with the U-550, a German U-boat submarine that was sunk off the coast of Nantucket, Massachusetts, after it torpedoed the SS Pan, Pennsylvania. And 3 destroyer escorts essentially took that particular U-boat out. And it became the last U-boat, I guess, along the U.S. coast that had never been found up until a couple of years ago. What was it about this particular U-boat that made it such a holy grail for a number of people, including the crew and the folks that worked on the Tenacious, which was the expedition ship that eventually found it? What was it about this that made it so important to find?
Well, I think there are a number of things. First of all, it was the last U-boat, and deep wreck divers are always searching for a virgin wreck. So being the last boat made it something of a holy grail. The other thing is that people have been looking for it for several decades and couldn't find it. So there was, it's the draw of solving the mystery. And then the third part is they knew that when they found it, it was going to be in really deep water. And so it was going to be an extraordinarily dangerous dive if they could get out there. So basically, in their minds, what they were doing is, if they were mountain climbers, they were looking for a peak higher than Everest and climbing it for the first time.
Good analogy. When that ship was, or when that U-boat was sunk, one of the things I think I find fascinating about it is that the captain of that vessel and members of its crew actually kind of, I don't know, became captive friends of the ship that picked them up, the U.S. ship, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely what happened. It was the most soulful part of the story and most improbable part of the story. Nobody expected this when the divers found the wreck, to discover that in fact the Germans and the Americans had become, in some cases, friends for life after this. But, it makes sense. First of all, the captain of the American destroyer, which actually is the one that sunk the U-boat, the American destroyer escort, the USS George, that captain was both courageous and compassionate. And he risked his ship to pick up those 13 German survivors, even though his orders were to get back to the convoy and probably not stop his ship and make himself a target for potentially another U-boat. But he took the risk because these were sailors who were no longer his enemy, but who were just men in distress. And so the Germans, of course, recognized this, and to many of those Germans, he was an angel, literally and figuratively. The Germans, some of the Germans we talked with say, Robert Wilcox gave me my second life. And they became, and he continued, they corresponded with him when they were in POW camp, and he wrote back to them, and when they got out of camp and they were trying to rebuild Germany, and Germany was totally impoverished, he sent them care packages, and their friendships continued for decades. And now the family friendships are sustaining themselves through a third generation between these Americans and Germans.
Were any of the survivors of U-550, when the ship was or the sub was finally found, the boat, when it was finally found, were there any of those men that were still alive, and what was their response to having that particular boat found?
It kind of opened a dam of memories for the survivors, both Americans. We interviewed Americans from the destroyer and American from the Pan Pennsylvania, the torpedoed tanker, and then the Germans. Mostly these men had never talked about this story. From all aspects of the event, I think it was a kind of a horrifying experience, that these guys had PTSD. They just wanted to put it in the backs of their minds. And of course the Germans, it was not politically correct in Germany to talk about your experience as a veteran, because World War II is a national shame for Germany. So the finding of the wreck was really like pulling a cork out of a bottle and giving these men a chance to tell their stories. And what stories they had to tell. I mean, they're in the book. These guys just gave us hours and hours and hours of tape about the sights and sounds and smells and tastes and touch of the battle, and then their lives afterwards.
Of those hours of interviews that you conducted, what was one of the most compelling stories that you were told that didn't end up making it in the book? Because the book itself, while it tells their story to an extent, really it's the story of the men who went out trying to find the wreckage of the U-550, and it's not to downplay the experience of the men on the U-550 or any of the American ships that were involved, but I mean the biggest part of the story really has to do with finding the ship. What was one of the most compelling stories that you had during those interviews with the men that were aboard the U-550 that for you really stood out and didn't make it in the book?
One of the most compelling stories, I guess, that may just get glossed over in the book was that the U-550 was attacked by a Canadian patrol bomber about 2 weeks before the battle happened. The U-550 was south of Iceland on weather patrol before it got sent to New York. And one of the men we interviewed, Albert Nietzsche in Germany, Albert had been the 37 millimeter gunner on the sub, and so he was on deck when the Canadian patrol plane attacked him, and he saw two of his shipmates, guys he really loved, get shot by the Canadian boat and die, and one of those guys was a guitarist, and life on the U-boat was miserable for these guys, but they loved to sing, and the center of their singing was this guitarist who died. And with his death, the whole mood on the submarine, as you can imagine, changed because there was no more music.
Wow. The book, by the way, is Where Divers Dare, The Hunt for the Last U-Boat. The author, Randy Peffer, joining us on the Wake Up call this morning. I started this off by saying one of the things that I learned from the book was I never, ever, ever want to be any kind of salvage extreme diver, anything, cave diver, any of that. I do not want to do that, but I have great respect for the folks that do. As I'm reading about these folks, they remind me, and I don't know if you've ever come across an actual combat pilot or ever talked to folks that were combat pilots. They seem to have that same sort of attitude. Is that a good assessment or not?
It's a great assessment. And my father was a career Navy combat pilot who started his his aviation career, flying Navy patrol bombers in the Guadalcanal campaign, and flew right through the late 60s and early 70s. So I kind of grew up with the great Santini, and I would say there's more than a passing similarity between those kinds of combat pilots and these divers. It takes an amazing amount of chutzpah and attention to detail and sort of surprising physical strength that you don't see every day.
Okay, I'm gonna. There was just a tiny mention of it in the book, and I want you to expand on it. And you mentioned about rebreathers, and you talked about that rebreathers had actually been around for a couple of 100 years, or in one form or another. What were the early rebreathers a couple of 100 years ago?
You know what? You're going to stump me on that question. I know they were around, but if I try to give you the technical description of them, I'm probably going to muff that question. So I don't know. I just know that they got good between First World War and Second World War, and there was U.S. Navy UDT guys who were really pioneering that, and that the technology was not available to non-military divers until the late 80s, early 90s, because the military just they didn't want people getting their hands on this technology because it would obviously it could facilitate terrorism, for example.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that the men who eventually found U-550 could have done that had it not been for that particular technology?
No. All the mixed gas technology, these divers use 5 different gas mixtures to get down and back to the U-550 because it's so deep. And then, at one level they're dealing with nitrogen toxicity in their systems, and at another level oxygen becomes toxic. They simply couldn't have done it without having access to the military technology that had developed over the years.
All right, somebody asked off the email, this is completely not related to the book, ask him what he thinks of NUMA, N-U-M-A, and Clive Cussler. So I'm asking.
I'm a huge fan of Clive Cussler's books. I think that I was totally enthralled when he found the wreck of the Hunley, and I'm desperate to go see it.
Wow. High praise there. I don't want to give a lot away to the book because as much as it is a character study, it's also a mystery as well. And as such, you give away too much of the book, you give away the ending of it, which I don't want to do. That said, it is a great read, probably one of the better reads if folks have never read anything about, underwater diving, and I'm not talking about, the kind that Jacques Cousteau did. I'm talking about cave exploration, wreck exploration, salvage operations. Probably one of the best I think I've ever read, and you do a fascinating job not only telling that particular story, but also the characters within that particular, small group of folks. It's a really good book, really good. Randy, thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
Hey, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
The book, again, is Where Divers Dare, The Hunt for the Last U-Boat. It's printed under the Berkeley Caliber signature, also part of Penguin Books. It's the Wake Up Call, 741 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters in New York, I'm John Tucker. U.S. stocks are rising in the early going, with investors also bracing for the start of what is forecast to be the biggest earnings slump since the financial crisis. Following a tumultuous start to the year that saw the S&P 500 tumble as much as 11% by mid-February, U.S. equities are now almost unchanged on optimism that central bank support will be enough to support growth. Still, reasons for additional gains have grown thin, with valuations far above their 5-year average, and a 7-year bull market weeks away from becoming the second longest in history. Stock swings also on the rise, with the Chicago Board Options Exchange Volatility Index posting its biggest weekly gain since January. In the early going, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 147 points. That's a rise of about 0.8%. The S&P 500 up 14 points. That's up 0.7. And the Nasdaq Composite Index up 45 points. That's a Bloomberg Market Minute.
You're independent and want to stay that way, but you'd like some friendship and security. Consider Eugene's elegant yet affordable retirement living, Turpinning Terrace. At Turpinning Terrace, friendships grow through activities, the all-day restaurant-style dining, and the warm community environment. The large studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom apartments are the best value in Eugene. They have a secure parking garage and are near excellent retail stores. Call for a free tour and lunch, 689-0619. Turpinning Terrace, a tremendous time of life.
Climb aboard Amtrak Cascades from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at Amtrak.com/see what happens.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
Michelob Ultra is more than a superior light beer. It's taken in all life has to offer, like catching a wave or biking a long trail. And when you're done, you reach for a cold Michelob Ultra. Fewer carbs, fewer calories, more to look forward to. Michelob Ultra. Long live the ultra life. Enjoy responsibly. Michelob Ultra Light Beer, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat per 12-ounce serving. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is a heavy dose of hard-hitting wake-up call.
This is the Wake Up Call.
For one thing, thank you so much.
Holloway in London and the Wake Up Call.
Yeah, I love what you do.
On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Spring cleaning, anybody? 7:45. He is the home expert with Consumer Reports. Dan DeClarico joins us to talk about the battle against dust and dust mites and dirt and allergens. And we always have the constant battle, or we should have the constant battle with. Dan joining us on the Wake Up Call. Good morning. Great to have you on the show.
Hey, good morning. Great to be here.
So how realistic is it for us to think that we're going to get all the dust mites and the allergens and all the dust out of our living spaces? How practical is that goal?
Yeah, those dust bunnies are everywhere. So you may not get every last one, but we can help you get most of them. And this is important. I mean, we hear so much about kind of outdoor air pollutants, and don't get me wrong, there's greenhouse gas emissions and all that's important. But the air quality indoors, it's actually usually around 2 to 5 times worse indoors than it is outside, and it can get dozens of times worse in extreme circumstances. So it is important to stay on top of it, especially if you have allergy sufferers at home. Daily dusting is important.
What do you recommend? Is there a way that you can test the air quality and kind of mold and anything of that nature that's not incredibly expensive?
You can. I mean, to have it done properly, you have to have an indoor air consultant into the home, and that's going to cost you several $100s. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But really, the best indication is if you are, if your allergies have, gotten worse, or even just a persisting case of the sniffles in your kids, it definitely can be a factor. Things like dust mites and other airborne particulates in the home. So, I think that's really your best test if you're suffering more than you think you should be.
Let's start with a good vacuum cleaner. I have one with the hose connection, and it's got the chamber without the bag. What is your favorite? Is there one that you think that's heads and tails above the other ones?
I'm an upright guy myself. You tend to get better value out of an upright vacuum cleaner. Certainly, if there's carpet throughout your home, you're going to see better performance there. The canister vac, which I think you're describing, is preferred on hardwood surfaces. It's a little bit easier to get up and down the stairs. So if you have several, stories to your home, consider an upright, a canister vac. But in general, we tend to see the best all-around value and performance in an upright vacuum cleaner.
What about brands?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you go to our website, we test dozens and dozens of vacuums each year. There are a few that definitely stand out. Kenmore tends to be a reliable, in both the uprights and the canisters. Miele, if you're a canister consumer, Miele makes a very good canister vacuum. But the one point we always make is you can't go by brand alone. We see, we see great Kenmore vacuums, and then we see some that are, not so great. So you really want to look. You got to drill down to the model, specific model number before you make that final purchase. And again, using our ratings, I think is a good way to go.
Talking to Dan DeClerico with the Consumer Reports. He's the home expert. What about the Roombas or the robotic vacuum cleaners? I hear people talk about these and thinking about getting one or investigating. Do they work?
They do. What we say there is they are not a replacement for your standard, whether it's an upright or canister vacuum. They don't deliver the same performance. They simply don't pick up the same amount of dust and dirt. But they're you can cut down on the amount of vacuuming you have to do by running one of these in your home, because we've all seen them how they work. They're you can be out of the house and they're doing their job. But again, they're not really going to replace a standard vacuum cleaner.
How much? What's the ballpark financially? What's it going to set you back? A couple hundred?
Well, the robotics are actually quite expensive. They start around $500, but you can get up to $700-800. Whereas with one of our top-rated upright vacuum cleaners, which again I think those are sort of the best value there. Our current favorite is in fact a Kenmore for $350. So you can really see the difference there right away. Paying a bit more for a Miele canister vacuum might run you, I don't know, $700, $800. They do get over $1,000. Some of those Miele, so you're definitely paying a premium there. But you'll get some good performance, and it should last for years and years.
I'm just curious: is there a good? Well, actually, let's put it another way. What is in your mind the top 2 or 3 air filters for the home that suck the air in and try to draw the particulate out? Are they the ones with the filters? There's the other ones that use an electrostatic method. I mean, there's several different types. What seems to work the best, and which ones are the most effective?
I'll be honest with you. We don't, with those, the room air cleaners or air purifiers, we don't see great results from them. You really want to do all these other things that we'll, talk about in a little more detail here, especially the vacuuming and the dusting. If you do that, you're really going to be in better shape than if you spend, several $100s on a room air cleaner. Now, what I will say is if you have forced air in your home, so if you have a furnace down in the basement, that furnace has a filter, and you can upgrade the filter on that furnace to something that's going to provide much better air cleaning, and that is definitely a worthwhile. It's a very small investment. You're going from a $10 filter to perhaps a $20 filter, but there we've seen real improvements in terms of the overall air quality, just because they're capturing so much more of those particulates before they enter the home.
When it comes to dust, what kind of is there a cleanser that you point to and say this one's going to do a better job? That's maybe not incredibly toxic.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we talk about the tools, if you will. So for example, the microfiber cloth is so much better than just a standard cotton cloth. This is a synthetic cloth, typically made of polyester or nylon, and it just has a much more surface area, so it does a much better job of picking up the dust. You can pair it with a cleaning solution. Our favorite has always been, well, I shouldn't say always, but for the last few years, regular old Pine Sol. It is head and shoulders above all the other all-purpose cleaners that we've tested.
Question off the email. Kristen wants to know about the Swiffer.
Sure. So there you're getting into. If I understand, I think she's referring to the sort of the disposable electrostatic cloths. We did test the Swiffer. We also tested one from Pledge. Saw very good results in both of them. These are particularly that it's charged. It's using that static electricity to sort of attract the dust and debris. So they're great, especially on TVs, on computer screens, things where the dust does tend to, they're kind of like dust magnets, and this is a good antidote, this disposable electrostatic cloth. The one thing you don't want to do is get it wet. As soon as you get it wet, it kind of loses its magnetic power.
It brings up a good question, and that is, gimmicks or things that people are paying more for the idea and the concept than the actual results. Is there any or, one or two that kind of fall under these categories that you know about as far as, in practice, it probably doesn't do what the advertisers are talking about. Yeah, no, this is a favorite category for those late night infomercials. Let me think on that. We did test the Sham Wow. If you remember that one, I think it's still around, and didn't see markedly better performance over any of the standard cloths that like the one I just mentioned, the microfiber cloth. So I think you do want to be careful with some of those products that you see maybe late night while you're surfing the television. What about if we're going to be cleaning the sheets and the pillowcases in addition to the very hot water? Is there a detergent or even like a supplement that you can add that will knock out some of these dust mites that are in our sheets? Yeah, no, I mean you really hit it there with the water temperature. We haven't seen any detergents that are even marketing themselves as designed specifically for dust mites. So I think just a top-rated laundry detergent, is gonna give you the results. I'm just looking up while we're talking here what our some of our favorites are. Tide has been the perennial winner in the laundry detergent category. There is a newer product on the market, Persil, which has actually been in Europe for many years. In the last year or so has reached this market, and it performs as well in some cases even better than Tide. So those are certainly a couple of products to consider. How do you spell it? Persil, P for Peter, ERSIL. When it first hit the market, it was only at Walmart, but I'm sure that there was plans to expand it. I believe it is available at other retailers now. Cost comparison to Tide, is it about the same or cheaper? It is about the same. Yeah, so these are two premium detergent products. So if you want to save a few bucks, let me call up some of our best buys. If you're a Sam's Club shopper, the Members Mark does a very nice job. If you prefer Costco, the Kirkland Signature, those both do. They're not delivering quite the cleaning power of the Persil or the Tide, but pretty good value. Even something like Whisk Deep Clean kind of makes our top 10, and you're talking about 14 cents per load versus the 25 cents per load of a Tide or a Persil. So it's about half the cost for just about the same cleaning performance. He's the home expert of Consumer Reports, Dan DeClerico. Dan, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate your knowledge. Great to be here. Thanks. ConsumerReports.org. Hour number 3 is coming up.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Pushy salespeople, fake sales, the walk of shame out of the mattress store? Those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com/go and get $50 off your order. That's helixsleep.com/go.
In my line of work, I'm trying to make a difference. Not $1 billion, but I do want to be able to save for the future. So this year, I partnered with TIAA to help me map out what I should be doing. Together, we came up with a personalized plan for my finances. And now, it seems like a life of rewarding work just might pay off for a lifetime.
See how we're helping those who do good do well at the new TIAA.org. TIAA, created to serve, built to perform.
Built for business. Waiting. No one enjoys it. With Comcast Business, you can do less of it. Because Comcast Business Internet is up to 5 times faster than DSL from the phone company, which means less waiting for things like security backups and file downloads. Plus, it's a better value when you select the fastest plan. So do what nearly 1,000 businesses do every day and choose Comcast Business. Unless you'd prefer to wait. Switch to Comcast Business Internet. Then add 1 voice line and TV for just $34.90 a month for 2 years. And ask about their low price guarantee. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. That's 800-501-6000. Comcast Business. Built for business.
Offer ends 5/31/16. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees, including broadcast TV fee extra. Compares Comcast 100 megabits per second and 20 megabits per second DSL downloads.
Good news, sleep apnea sufferers. You're finally free to sleep comfortably anywhere you travel, even while flying, thanks to Transcend, the world's first portable mini CPAP device. And here's even better news. Right now, you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for a full 10 days. Just call minicpap.com, 1-800-700-7670. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend Mini CPAP is as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound, giving you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. Transcend is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. So free yourself from your big, bulky CPAP device and start enjoying the freedom to sleep anytime, anywhere you go. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day in-home trial. 1-800-700-7670. That's 1-800-700-7670.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He won a Super Bowl playing for the New Orleans Saints. Now about 36 hours after former NFL player Will Smith was murdered, the suspect in jail awaiting a court appearance this afternoon. Fox's Evan Brown has more on the case live.
And Dave, the suspect is 28-year-old Cardell Hayes, and while police in New Orleans say it was a case of road rage following a traffic accident, Hayes' attorney John Fuller says he's not guilty of murder.
Not only did my client call 911, but my client secured a witness who was about to leave the scene, and my client waited for law enforcement to arrive. Now tell me if that's the behavior that's consistent with someone who's an animal out here looking for blood.
Now, there are also reports the football player was having dinner with an ex-cop. Hayes sued after his father was shot and killed by cops a decade ago, Dave.
Evan, they're starting to pick a jury in Georgia to put a father on trial. Ross Harris's 22-month-old son roasted in a hot SUV for 7 hours back in 2014. Prosecutors say it was intentional, charging him with murder. Harris claims he forgot to drop little Cooper off at daycare and left him in the back by mistake.
Harris, prosecutors say, conducted internet searches. He was conducting research online into children overheating in hot cars. But Ross Harris told investigators that he did this because as a father, this was one of his greatest fears.
Fox's Jonathan Seri outside the court in Marietta.
Investigators also say while the boy was overheating in that vehicle, the father from his workplace was exchanging text messages of a sexual nature with multiple women.
One survivor's been found the day after a boat sank off the Florida coast, but 3 others on board were found dead around St. Lucie Inlet. A Fox poll gives Donald Trump a 32 2-point lead in New York before that next primary next week, but he's upset over losing all 34 Republican delegates in Colorado to Ted Cruz. Trump says the voters had no say, no primary or caucuses.
They're going absolutely crazy because they weren't given a vote. This was given by politicians. It's a crooked deal.
The Cruz campaign says they got a superior organization. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
An unhealthy spine often starts with bad habits. Poor movement patterns and posture can damage the spine or throw it out of alignment. Over time, these bad habits can injure lumbar discs or cause them to wear out prematurely. The physicians at Neurospine Institute are experts in diagnosing painful back problems. They'll work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure the best care and treatment for your unique situation. Our team of neurosurgeons, pain management specialists, and physical therapists will evaluate your back problem and develop a treatment plan and help you get your life back.
Are you living with chronic pain? The specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
Britain's Prime Minister keeps trying to explain himself amid the fallout from the so-called Panama Papers. David Cameron's late father was among the rich and powerful around the world named in documents detailing offshore financial transactions. Some of Cameron's own are being scrutinized now. Fox's Simon Owen live in London.
David Cameron appearing in Parliament here right now after admitting he profited from an offshore investment fund. He's also facing claims he spent days dodging questions about it. Cameron saying he accepts all the criticism for not responding quicker, but insisting he hasn't broken any laws. In response, the leader of the opposition Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, calling the Prime Minister out of touch, saying there is one rule for the super rich and another for the rest. The revelations are proving embarrassing for a Prime Minister who's long struggled with a reputation for being wealthy and privileged. Dave?
Simon, the UN's World Food Program has dropped air aid to hungry Syrians in a city under siege for more than 2 years amid a civil war. They put parachutes on pallets of food, enough to feed 2,500 people for a month. Some Bryan Adams fans are upset in Mississippi. Well, not anymore. He's actually running away from the state.
Canadian rocker Bryan Adams canceling a performance this week in Mississippi because of the state's new law allowing religious groups and some private businesses to refuse service to gay couples. Adams saying he can't, in good conscience, perform in a state where certain people are being denied their civil rights because of their sexual orientation. The move coming after Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band canceled a Sunday show in Greensboro, North Carolina because of the state's new law blocking anti-discrimination rules for the LGBT community. Jacqueline Carl, Fox News.
On Wall Street, there are some gains this morning to start the week. The Dow is up 41 points. It was up a lot more than that about an hour ago, and the Nasdaq's gaining 16. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
See, that to me almost sounds more like a cop show theme. We're auditioning for music for
See, to me, that sounds like a late-night talk show.
Well, in the beginning, it's... Well, your thing had like 4 beats that sounded like it, and then it totally went different. Okay, sunshine here and there today, but later in the day, highs in the mid to, we'll say, maybe upper 60s. Currently 51 degrees at 1120 KPNW. Hopefully the weekend was great. And I shared my experience on the Row River Trail around Dorena and how that's such a great ride. Not a bunch of climbs if you don't like to do, maybe you like to work up to it. It's an old railroad track. A couple of people, well, one in particular has suggested that I don't talk about it. Apparently, some of the folks in CG are hoping that they keep that as their little gem. They don't want people from other communities coming down. And I hope people down in Cottage Grove take advantage of that bike path because they put some effort into that. It is paved and wide and clean. It's a beautiful ride out there, too. So
if you were hoping Rob would keep it a secret, no, as a matter of fact, he won't.
Throwing it out there because, you know what? Folks might do what we did, come down, take a ride, and then hit CG, hit a local business. So there you go. Costa, we're going to have the executive director, Heather Murphy, come in, talk about the court-appointed special advocates, see what is up in their camp. And also, before that, we'll touch on some news.
Yeah, we'll have these stories coming up. Weyerhaeuser fire out on Bertelsen over the weekend. A lot of folks are asking, 170 employees, when are we going to open back up? We'll take a look at that story. We'll take a look at the governor's state of the state address, and things are looking up water-wise. Those stories and more coming up, brought to you by Burrito Amigos. You know they are the friendly ones, right here on KPNW.
News time, 8:07.
A tasty meal can make your day. A solid breakfast puts a good spin on things at the beginning of the day. A great meal in the evening can usually salvage a lousy day. Burrito Amigos can definitely cover the bases and be first in rotation or back cleanup. Fast and hot, Burrito Amigos breakfast burritos are fresh and tasty. You choose the meat. The bacon burritos have 2 types of bacon. The machaca burritos are made from certified black Angus. Or get tasty and zesty chorizo, link sausage, huevos ranchero made with green salsa, or go meatless. On the back end of the day, let Burrito Amigos do the cooking while you enjoy other great items off the menu like quesadillas, tostadas, tamales, wet burritos, even something more unique like lengua burritos or Mexican cheesesteak burritos. Let Burrito Amigos be the beginning of a great day or the salvation to a bad one. Smiles all around from Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones in Eugene and Springfield. I'm Bill London, and I approve all the breakfast burritos and about half of the rest of the menu. The other half I haven't eaten yet.
Shopping for your next grill at Midgley's is easy and convenient. Unlike home improvement stores, a walk across Midgley's doesn't require a relay baton. We know all about grills, too. Just don't ask us about sandpaper or toilet seats. And you don't need to remember where you parked. Our customer-friendly lot is directly behind our store. Get your next grill at Midgley's. We're at 7th and Chambers in Eugene. Midgley's. Anywhere else, and you're just playing with fire. CCB 161946.
If you've dreamed of owning an RV, let the RV Corral help make those dreams come true. The RV Corral is Eugene's largest Winnebago dealer for motorhomes and lightweight travel trailers. Over 200 new and pre-owned motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and campers. All Class A and C motorhomes are on sale now. With local owners for 28 years and all local employees, the RV Corral will be there to help you make your RV dreams come true. Easy to find on Highway 99, 1 mile south of Beltline. Buy anywhere else, you'll pay too much.
Local news, local people. Wake up call on News Radio 1120. KPNW.
Good morning. Let's look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to your morning. Here's what's going on. Fire crews battled an industrial fire at Weyerhaeuser on Bertelsen in West Eugene on Saturday. The first calls came in around at 10:30 at night, with Eugene Springfield fire crews rolling onto the scene about 10 minutes later. Because the fire was at a lumber mill, firefighters initially responded with more crews and more equipment. That helped them get that fire under control quickly in a limited area. Greg Miller, a spokesperson for Weyerhaeuser, said that the damage was minor. The impact is going to be limited and short. Repair crews moved in Sunday, trying to decide when to reopen the plant. The decision on that expected today. About 170 people work there. 30 people were evacuated as a safety precaution Saturday night. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire, still undetermined. The city of Eugene bought 100 acres of forest land, including a hill with sweeping views, and plans are to make it part of the city's Ridgeline Trail system. City Parks Planning Manager Neil Bjorklund said that the $850,000 purchase is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The 100 acres has 3 adjacent parcels near Lane Community College, all purchased near the end of 2015. 2 of the parcels cost about $675,000. A third, $175,000. Money for the land came from a parks bond measure voters approved in 2006. Bjorklund says the new lands ponds are currently closed because the area contains potential hazards yet to be addressed. It doesn't have any trails, and there's no boundaries marking where public and private property begin and end. A 17-year-old boy under arrest for the murder of a Portland woman at the University of Texas at Austin campus. Brad Ford has details on how police identified the suspect.
Police got a tip from a woman who saw a person similar to the suspect start a fire in a dumpster.
APD also responded to the fire scene and located the trash container, which contained several items which we believe to belong to our victim.
Police Chief Art Acevedo says they knew Mikhail Kreiner was at a homeless shelter. When they arrested him, he had a duffel bag similar to the one owned by Haruka Weiser. Acevedo says while he didn't know the victim, he's learned a lot from her family.
Whoever she touched, it was a blessing. And I'm just glad and thankful that we're going to bring justice to that family.
Kreiner is facing first-degree murder charges, and police say they're certain he is the suspect in the girl's death. Brad Ford, KPNW.
Authorities say the lives of two young people with dramatically different backgrounds intersected violently on the Austin campus of the University of Texas. Now, that 18-year-old victim, Haruka Weiser, was a dance major from Portland. She was planning to study medicine. The suspect in her killing is a 17-year-old runaway, Michelle Khalil Kreiner, and he is also intellectually disabled. He was abandoned by his mother as an infant and placed into Texas foster care, where he bounced around family to family. He's in jail in Travis County on $1 million bond. His grandmother in Texarkana says she's planning to travel to Austin to be with him today. Well, an analysis of Environmental Protection Agency data found that nationwide, about 1,400 water systems serving 3.6 million Americans have exceeded the federal lead standard at least once between January of 2013 and September of 2015. They include 278 systems that are owned and operated by schools and daycare centers in 41 states. And yeah, Oregon happens to be part of them. Now, Northwest Water Systems with lead level samples that have exceeded 15 parts per billion based on data provided by the EPA's Safe Drinking Water Information System include a number of systems here in Oregon. They include Periwinkle Mobile Home Park in Eugene, the City of Drain, Kidco Head Start Sunnyside in Lebanon, the Corvallis Waldorf Association School in Corvallis, Lebanon Union High's Land Lab, the Wayne Buck Water System in Corvallis, and also the Emerald Christian Academy in Pleasant Hill. All of them received readings of over 15 parts per billion at least once since 2013. Oregon Governor Kate Brown says the state's economy is continuing to rebound, but the state faces challenges this year to protect residents from pollution. Brad Ford reports.
The pollution from small glass manufacturers in the Portland area exposed a gap in air quality regulations. In her State of the State address, Governor Kate Brown says she's taken steps to solve the problem.
It's time the regulation of industrial air emissions caught up with scientific evidence connecting environmental quality and public health.
She says the state has turned the corner in its recovery from the Great Recession, but she says more needs to be done to help small businesses. The governor says she's proud of the way Oregonians handled the recent armed takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge.
When the chips are down, we unite as one state.
The governor says a transportation package is a priority for the next legislative session. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Over the weekend, Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz won Colorado's presidential nominating contest at that state's convention. During an interview with Fox and Friends this morning, rival Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner, slammed the system by which delegates are secured as unfair and undemocratic.
I won, as an example, South Carolina. I won it by a landslide, like a massive landslide, and now they're trying to pick off those delegates one by one. That's not the way democracy is supposed to work. And, you know, they offer them trips, they offer them all sorts of things, and you're allowed to do that. I mean, you're allowed to offer trips, and you can buy all these votes. What kind of a system is this? Now, I'm an outsider, and I came into the system, and I'm winning the votes by millions of votes. But the system is rigged. It's crooked.
It's not clear at this point whether Trump will garner the 1,237 delegates he needs to win the Republican nomination on the first ballot at the party's convention in Cleveland coming up in July. The first semi-major fire of the forest fire season was sparked Friday, burning 7.1 acres in Sweet Home. The fire is located near the Santiam Highway at the intersection of Soda Fork Road.
The fire started from an electrical problem down by a well house that came from was next to the shop structure.
Sweet Home Fire Chief Dave Behringer says personnel from Sweet Home Fire, an ambulance district, ODF, U.S. Forest Service, and Cascade Timber Consultants all responded to the incident. The blaze was completely out by late Friday evening. Pacific Power is installing nearly 600,000 smart meters for eWeb customers. Remember how well that went over when eWeb wanted to do it? Brad Ford says it helps Pacific Power and will give you more details on the power you use.
Smart meters allow Pacific Power to read your meter remotely. When you log in, you'll be able to see within a day how much power was used.
You can make some adjustments and go, gee, I didn't realize the old washing machine, was that bad.
Tom Gaunt with Pacific Power says he'll start installing the new meters in 2018 and should be complete the next year. Customers will get notification and the process is fast.
We really only take about 5 minutes per household.
The change will save Pacific Power in the long run because they won't have to manually read the meters. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Well, the federal government and big energy companies have lost a round in their effort to block a climate change lawsuit brought by young plaintiffs backed by a group of adults using them as a front who contend the U.S. is failing to protect them from the harmful effects of greenhouse gas emissions. U.S. Magistrate Judge Thomas Coffin rejected motions by the U.S. government and trade groups representing the energy companies to dismiss the lawsuit by 21 plaintiffs ages 8 to 19. A U.S. District Court judge has the final say over whether the lawsuit's proceeding to trial. The plaintiffs contend the release of dangerous carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere is a violation of their constitutional rights. So they want the U.S. government to be forced to create a plan that would significantly cut the emissions. A man is expected to recover after deputies shot him in northwestern Oregon. The Washington County Sheriff's Office and Forest Grove Police responded to a disturbance at a home in Cornelius. A neighbor said a man was breaking windows and causing property damage. Sergeant Bob Ray says deputies and officers found 54-year-old Greg Howard Moore uncooperative. The encounter escalated, and Ray says Moore was shot at least once. Even after that, he still refused to leave the house for more than an hour. He was finally taken into custody. Ray said Moore had an outstanding felony warrant. The Washington County Major Crimes Team is investigating that shooting. Well, what a difference between the winter of 2014 and the winter of 2015. Brad Ford says farmers and ranchers in many parts of the state are grateful for the snow, and plenty of it.
Snowpacks in most of Oregon's mountains are in good shape despite warmer than normal temperatures.
This winter was one of our warmest. It was the seventh warmest on record.
Margaret Matter, a resource specialist with the Oregon Department of Agriculture, says snowpacks are above average and the precipitation means no parts of Oregon are in extreme drought, but that doesn't mean everything's green.
There are some places to keep an eye out. The Klamath and the Umatilla are probably going to have a little lower.
Areas that have been extremely dry will need more winters like this one before they return to normal, and hoping for a cool spring, which will cause the snowpack to last longer into the summer. Brad Ford, KPNW.
This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. You're up to date from KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
So anybody is talking about today, sports, 7 holes away from his second consecutive green jacket. That was Jordan Spieth's scenario at the Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta yesterday. Then he hit, the ball into the water twice and in the sand. This is what it sounded like on CBS.
He's never hit one that fat in his life. I'm losing count, Frank. How many's in the back of the bunker now? 5. 5 at 10, 5 at 11.
Nick Faldo, one of 3 golfers in history to win back-to-back Masters championships. On Jordan's debacle, taking away his chance to be a repeat winner. The 22-year-old Texan had led wire to wire, but opened the door for 28-year-old Brit Danny Willett, who went on to win by 3 strokes. As tradition mandates, he had to help with his green jacket. The past champion, Jordan Spieth, that had to be a bit awkward. NBA, the Golden State Warriors tied the Chicago Bulls in wins in a season after they beat San Antonio there yesterday, 92-86. A pretty remarkable feat, as the home team previously had won every game this season. Warriors can get their record-breaking 73rd win on Wednesday against the Memphis Grizzlies. Oregon Ducks baseball team won their series with Cal. The softball team swept the Beavers in Corvallis And the OSU Beaver team, the baseball team, swept Central Arkansas. Oregon women track team won with the men tying for first at the Pepsi Invitational at Hayward over the weekend. And they get the Oregon men's basketball team got another future player from a Wyoming JC. Cavell Bigby Williams, a 6'10 power forward, chose Oregon over Arizona State, Texas, Utah, and several others. If you remember, Chris Boucher came from Wyoming as well. Next year's team is going to be stacked. Wake Up Call Sports brought to you by Max Muscle, your authority in sports nutrition since 1991 on Franklin across from Market of Choice in Eugene. News time 8:22.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes, you're already out and about. We do have mostly cloudy skies as well as patchy dense fog off and on. Now, while the fog will burn off by 11 a.m., the cloud cover will be a little harder to get rid of. If you're on your way out now, temps right now are in the mid to upper 40s. Light winds out of the south at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we make it a couple hours of partly cloudy skies, but by late afternoon, mostly cloudy skies will start to roll back in from an approaching storm system. Temps look to be pretty good, though, in the mid to upper 60s in most locations. We're tracking a storm system for Tuesday night into Wednesday and another cold front that'll take the highs back into the 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Ramjack leads the way in foundation repair. Protect your investment. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Check out our exceptional online reviews, then choose Ramjack.
CCB 146906.
When you take the train, there's no telling what adventures await you. But that didn't stop us from speculating. Here's how it works, Mary. You tell me what you do aboard Amtrak Cascades, and I'll use my powers of prognostication to predict your path. Still game?
I'm game.
While riding the train, do you A, relax in your seat, or B, visit the bistro car?
Relax in my seat.
Catch some Z's, or be productive?
Be productive.
Open a book or your laptop?
Laptop.
Email or blog?
Blog.
Okay, here goes. While blogging in your comfy leather chair, you're moved by the sweeping views of the mossy megalopolis that is Oregon. You start building tiny train terrariums with native moss and even make punny t-shirts like, don't forget to moss.
Wow, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, it's a gift. Amtrak Cascades. See what happens from Eugene to Portland for less than $20 one way. Start your adventure at amtrak.com/see what happens. Restrictions may apply.
Max Muscle Sports Nutrition is more than a nutrition store. Tom here at Max Muscle. If you want to make changes to your overall health, lose weight, build muscle, or if you just want to feel better, stop by, talk to a certified nutritionist. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
If you need to sell your home, listen up. Lars here to tell you about a real estate agent right in Lane County that takes the stress out of selling a home. I'm talking about Jeremy Parmenter of Keller Williams Realty. Jeremy has a marketing system for selling homes on a whole different level than anyone you're going to talk to in Lane County. Jeremy works with the top real estate developer in Oregon, and week after week, Jeremy attracts hundreds of buyers, which creates demand and helps your home sell fast and for top dollar. That's why Jeremy offers a home sale guarantee. If Jeremy can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agreed to, he'll buy it. Plus, it's risk-free. If he isn't doing his job after one day, you can fire him. But don't worry, you won't, because he outsells the average agent 8-1. If I needed to sell my home and lived in Lane County, I'd call up Jeremy. Call Jeremy today at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. And start packing.
When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Local, family-owned Mazama is your fishing headquarters with brands like G. Loomis, St. Croix, Shimano, Daiwa, and a variety of locally made products tailor-made for this region. Team Mazama is eager and knowledgeable.
Plus, they offer layaway on firearms and fishing gear.
Pick up your hunting and fishing license while you're there. Conveniently located on West 11th in the same parking lot as Lowe's. Get to Mazama and get hooked on the good life. When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Mornings are a little different with a wake-up call.
You're an embarrassment to nature. Do you know that?
Holloway in London. Yeah. On News Radio 1120 KPNW.
8:26 and 30 seconds. Beep. Got a pretty good-looking weekend on the horizon, extended forecast at this point. In between, got a little bit of a front coming through with some gusty winds and precipitation. Great weekend. Hopefully you had a chance to get out there and do something in the outdoors and take advantage of it. This is, oddly, I was just thinking about this over the weekend. There was some, was it social media? I don't recall the story, but if you can believe it, a website called The Information got their hands on some confidential Facebook data and found out that oversharing is down. People shared 21% less personal info, and you know the info I'm talking about. Stuff that I'm having for lunch, stuff I went and bought, new jobs of that nature, getting married. 21% less in 2015. Also shared 5.5% fewer news stories and videos. And apparently the main reason is that people got shamed into stopping because of comments, or I think people started hearing people talk about the way that social media is being referred to, and so they stopped. I think maybe a seedling is starting to germinate as far as people realizing how much info Facebook has and is gaining and is increasing on a day-to-day basis. And you sit there and you go...
All it is spyware that you download onto your smartphone and your computer. I mean, you want to ask... I mean, you want a piece of profiling equipment? You couldn't ask for a better type of malware, spyware device.
If it wasn't Facebook, and if it was from a different country, say Middle East, or
if it was China, we'd all be going, "Oh God!"
We'd be up in arms.
Spyware! Look at the spyware! Oh no, it's warm and friendly. It's Facebook, where we connect with friends and family. By the way, I found out something interesting from a police officer dealing with Facebook. So when you use private messaging on Facebook and you think, oh, okay, I'm going to delete this so that, it just never gets seen again. Maybe for any number of reasons, you're going to delete it. Well, guess what? It never goes away. Facebook has it forever. All it takes is for someone to subpoena that information, and Facebook has it all. You may think you've deleted it from your messages. It's never gone. It's always there. They always have it. Actually, it wasn't a law enforcement officer who told me that. It was a lawyer. It was an attorney. Because they used it.
Huh.
And you think, oh, okay, well, I'll delete this. That's always there. Including your phone numbers that you put on there. If you put any phone numbers on there and you think, ooh, I'll keep this private. As soon as if you're one of those folks, like, for instance, where Facebook, oh, as a security measure, you need to put your phone number on here. And a lot of people don't do it because they don't want Facebook to have their phone number. If you have put that phone number in Instant Messenger, they've got it. It's logged. Facebook is spyware. I don't care how you look at it. It is spyware. It is malware. It is, I mean, if you're interested in privacy and you're on Facebook, you've already given it up. Even when you post a photograph on there, they have a program that goes through there and looks at your pictures, profiles it, and they can find your picture anywhere else anyone posts a photograph of you. I mean, I just, sometimes it amazes me, the stuff that people will put on there. I mean, and the way that they use, like, for instance, Facebook Messenger and the like. I mean, people use Facebook Messenger for work stuff. Just like, are you nuts? Why would you do that?
Is it amazing to you how many people are in positions that potentially, I don't know if it would and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but they're in kind of places and positions of, if not power, of influence, of public scrutiny, if something wants to come out, and they post things that would, I think, and maybe they have, a small window of people that they think are seeing it, but maybe I'm just, I guess you just get paranoid in 2016 for people that you care about, but
well, to me,
gotta be careful.
It's interesting. I mean, you take people over the age of about 30, 35, and, we think about things like security and, literally giving up your entire life on a cell phone just to have it. And yet, millennials don't seem to have any problem with it. You look at if you're downloading, for instance, apps onto your smartphone, actually pay attention to the different things and information that you're giving up. Like, for instance, why does a dictionary app need to have your phone list? What is the need for that? You're looking up the word parsimony. Why, when I look that up, does the dictionary app need to know who my contacts are? I mean, you start going through, or any number of games. I mean, there's games on there where I think Words with Friends was one of them. That my son is like, oh, you got, hook up and we'll do Words with Friends. We'll do Words with Friends on our smartphones. It'll be really fun. And I got to look at the thing, and it's like, oh my God. It's like, you have to give up literally all the information on your cell phone and any future information, including where you're at, when you're there. It's like, no, I don't think so. And yet you have those same people that are doing banking on their phones. I just look at it and go, yeah, no, really, I just don't think so.
I got 8 games going on with Words with Friends.
You do?
Yeah, no. I'm paranoid.
Well, you should be.
All right, let's give away some goodies for a Monday. If you are into winning such, what do we have to give away?
We have from Northwest Burgers.
The official burger of
the Wake Up
Wake Up Call.
That's right. Northwest Burgers, located up there at the 5th Street Public Market. You go inside, you go into that food courty area thing. What do they call it? That food area. Does
it's not
it have
a
its
food
own
court.
Well,
I call it the food area.
That's catchy.
It's better than a food court, though.
No, not really. The food area? That's selling it.
It's about the same. Okay.
Anyway,
what else?
Northwest Burgers. You get free eats from Northwest Burgers. Oh, why do they need to have something else, Rob? Isn't that good enough? Oh, okay. All right.
Wow.
All right. You talked me into it. I'm throwing in a KPNW ugly mug.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. And how are they doing that?
My understanding is they're going to answer a question.
Okay. How about this? Let's see. 33 years ago, in 1983, Gandhi beat out what movie for Best Picture? Gandhi, yes. This picture, no. 541-45, no.
Wouldn't it beat out a number of pictures? Wouldn't it beat out like 5 or 6?
Yes, but it was it beat out this one for Best Picture. There was only one other film nominated that year. Two nominated completely. I don't know, I'm making that up.
Well, what if somebody calls in and they know the other 4 but not that one?
Then I'll have to do some quick Googling. Right now, we're not having to worry about that because we haven't had a phone call. 541-485-KPNW. Maybe you're looking for the telephone number.
Yeah, 541-485-5769. That's 541-485-5769.
I actually threw that up on the fly. It was supposed to be the other way around. This movie was beat out.
Oh, I see. So it's a flawed question. Should I just ask one?
5, 4, 3, 2. Yes. Okay. Now you ask one.
Okay. Remember Jan on the Brady Bunch was always whining about her freckles? Turns out freckles are there for a reason. According to doctors, freckles aren't a sign that you've spent too much time in the sun. What is it actually that they do? A lot of people think, well, if I get a lot of freckles, it's because I've spent time in the sun. That's not necessarily the truth. What are they there for? Okay. Freckles actually have a reason. And it's a good thing that, for instance, redheads have lots of them. Now think about that for a second. 541-485-5769. That's 541-485-5769. I think my question was still better than yours.
We're still over. Oh, wait. KPNW, good morning.
You think you got it?
Possibly. I think it's pigments in the skin. Pigmentation of the skin.
Okay, pigments of the skin. What did you say after that?
Pigmentation in the skin.
You said something after that, though. What did you say?
Pigments in the skin? Pigmentation of the skin?
Okay.
I'm stuck on that now.
Okay, well, yeah, it's pigmentation of the skin. The purpose is?
The purpose of freckles?
Yes.
It's what happens whenever the pigmentation in the skin shows up.
No. There's no. Nice try. Hi, KPNW.
Hello.
Hi, what do you think the answer is?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Rob?
We've moved on. Are you serious? Wow. Hang on one second. Well, ask him if you know. Sir, do you know what the purpose of freckles are?
No.
Huh? No?
No.
Okay, hang on.
All right. All right. KPNW, good morning.
Hi, I have the answer to the freckles.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're spots of melanin, so they protect the skin from the sun.
You win.
Oh, good.
Nicely done. Yep.
Who are you?
Denise.
Hi, Denise. Where are you calling from?
Eugene.
All right. So, congratulations for your troubles. You've won some free eats from Northwest Burgers. We're going to throw in one of our ugly mugs, and thank you for answering probably one of the lamest trivia contests we've ever done on the Wake Up Call.
Well, I couldn't have got the other one, but I can definitely vouch for freckles. So, well, thank you. I'm excited about going and trying out Northwest Burgers.
Well, very cool. You try the Bork Burger if you like bacon. That's
okay.
We're going to have you hang on the line here a second. We're going to get some information from you, but thanks for calling in this morning. Have a great rest of your day.
Hey, I tell you what, people in their bedrooms right now, waking up on a Sleep Train mattress, feel like they've won already. They feel like that every day because they wake up refreshed and they get great sleep. Relaxation is good. Sleep and deep sleep is even better. Talking about the interest-free for 3 event going on right now, where you can get, we're talking about 3 years interest-free financing, no money down on top name brands like Tempur-Pedic and Beautyrest Black Hybrid, or when you elevate your comfort with a movable base. An approved credit with up to 36 equal monthly payments required, or save up to $200 on Beautyrest and Posturepedic mattress sets, 2 of Sleep Train's most popular mattress brands. Great thing about it, same-day delivery can be yours when you get there before 2 o'clock. So you could feasibly, all right, not have to sleep on that lumpy, dumpy thing that, well, calls itself a mattress. In Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem. And tell me you're like this with the wake-up call. It really is your ticket to a better night's sleep. Sleep Train.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters in New York, I'm John Tucker. U.S. stocks paring gains and advancing global equities also faltered while the dollar is slipping to a 9-month low. The speculation the Federal Reserve won't raise interest rates anytime soon. Crude oil trading near a 4-month high. At the close of regular trading in New York today, Alcoa gets set to start what's forecast to be the worst earnings season since the financial crisis. Analysts are projecting profits for S&P 500 companies will contract about 10%. Chesapeake Energy rising 13% after plunging assets to preserve a $4 billion bank line. Seagate Technology jumping over 7% after an analyst upgrade. And National Oil well Varco slipping about 6% after cutting its dividend. We have Dow Jones Industrial Average up 56 points right now. That's up 0.3% at 17,632. The S&P 500 up 55 points. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is up 16 points. That's a Bloomberg Market Minute.
Pacific Continental Bank is proud to call the Eugene-Springfield area home for more than 40 years. As your local banker, partner, and neighbor, we are committed to the health and sustainability of your business and our community. We know it takes more than a loan or deposit to help you succeed. It takes people who know you, your business, and your community. Who says we can't be more than a bank? Pacific Continental Bank, the right bank. Learn more at therightbank.com. Member FDIC.
Teresa Carrier from Carrier RV Service in Eugene talks about pre-purchase inspections.
If you're looking to buy an RV, we always tell everybody to make sure that you have someone inspect it before you buy it. That's from a private party or a dealer. We save the consumer money by inspecting the RV before they buy it, because sometimes we'll advise them not to buy it.
Visit their website at carrierandsons.com or stop by
99 and Airport Road, we're the second driveway on the right.
Carrier RV Service and Repair Center is all about satisfied customers.
Hi, I'm Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, and I'm here to tell you about an amazing new way you can start losing weight for free right now. You've probably seen our workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. We just launched a beta trial of our new digital video platform, Beachbody On Demand. So while we're testing out this new digital video service, I'm inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. That means you can lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Text the word SHAPE to 313131 and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, or any of over 400 workouts for free. Now here's the catch. In return, all I ask is you let us know what you think of the service so we can make Beachbody On Demand the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text SHAPE to 313131 and get started for free right now. Again, text SHAPE to 313131.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day trial. Cancel anytime.
News, information, 24/7 on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife populations, but it's just one of the risks animals face. The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land on which they live. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to protect wildlife by preserving natural habitats and establishing permanent sanctuaries. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust to save your land, call 1-800-729-SAVE or visit wildlifelandtrust.org.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning. If you're headed out in the next few minutes, we have a little bit of patchy dense fog off and on out there. Expect that to burn off by about 11 a.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies are dominating, with temps right now in the mid to upper 40s and light winds out of the south at 5 to 10. This afternoon, we'll get a couple hours of partly cloudy skies, but right into the late afternoon, the mostly cloudy skies will come rushing back in. That'll be from an approaching storm system. Highs will be on the warm side, mid to upper 60s out there. We do have a very small chance of isolated showers late tonight in the overnight hours, and we'll see winds this afternoon shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation in the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a great day.
Anything but typical. Anything but cliche. Anything but routine. The Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
(8:46), 14 away from 9 o'clock. Time to talk a little CASA, court-appointed special advocates. We've got the Executive Director, Heather Murphy, and the Director of Developments and Communications Development, Katie Gatlin. So Heather and Katie, both in studio. Welcome back, you two.
Thank you.
So I guess for somebody out there and we always like to do this just to kind of reacquaint, because I think sometimes people get confused with all the different organizations out there. Court-appointed special advocates, what is the mission statement?
Great trivia question. The mission statement is to advocate for kids in the foster care system. So we have volunteers that come in and give a lot of time to make sure that the center of all things in the court case for these kids is the child's needs.
And talk about the need for that, because if they don't really have a voice,
right.
Talk about the situations where they don't have anybody really in their corner.
Well, I think people don't necessarily realize how many people can actually be working on one specific case. And it can be one child or it could be several siblings in a family. But there are so many complexities to these cases. There are so many attorneys. If you go into a juvenile court setting, there's a judge, there's several attorneys, there are volunteers sometimes working for the kids. And then there are CASAs if they're lucky enough, and we have a large waiting list, but we have hundreds and hundreds of children served by CASAs. And these are volunteer whose job it is to go and look at those files, meet those children, investigate, fact find, all of those things, specifically with the best needs of the child at the heart of all that they do. And that is a different take on things.
So you're always looking for CASAs.
We're
if somebody
always looking for
out
CASAs.
there knows of the perfect person and they're kind of planning their statement as far as kind of turning them on to the whole concept.
Yes.
What is something that would arm them, one or two things that would help them in that argument?
If you have the time and the desire to really provide a professional level volunteer experience for and with a child, we encourage you, we welcome you with open arms. And we have hundreds of CASAs. And we just, since I've been here, have graduated 3 new classes, and they've all taken cases. Our newest class is actually just getting ready to graduate. And then we have a new one that started last week.
I've talked to people that and maybe they know a little bit about what goes on.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, I was talking to somebody and they said, "Oh, well, I have no law experience. I'm not a lawyer." And I'm like, "Oh, whoa.
Right. We get that a lot. And we have people from all walks of life, which is wonderful because we have very diverse cases and needs. And so we have people with very different takes on it. We have many retired folks. We do have some attorneys. We have teachers. We have engineers. We have phone operators. I mean, there really is there's no specific career that you need. We put you through a very intensive training session, and that is really designed to help prepare you for whatever might come your way, so that you know what a court report is, and you know what it's like to appear in front of the judge, and you know what it's like to sit with the children or child and talk with them. So you're very well prepared in Lane County to become a CASA.
Katie, what got you involved with CASA?
Well, I just love the mission. I mean, you can't ask for a better organization. You're really helping kids and you're doing the good work. And one part that I love about it is that it's so community driven. I mean, our volunteers are phenomenal and they do a lot of work for the children. And so it's just the community coming together to support this population and saying, you know what, there is a need in Lane County and I want to play my part to help get these kiddos into safe and permanent homes.
Might you communicate with us any future developments coming up?
I sure can. This is actually a great month because it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. So there are a lot of good ways to get involved if you're curious at all. We have an event going on with Edgewater Home Furnishings where we're raffling off a table set, and it's called Every Child Deserves a Family Around the Table. And we're wrapping that up on the 29th, so you can go online or you can stop at Edgewater. It's gorgeous. Some of our foster kiddos even made some plates for that, so it's really adorable. If you just want to show your support, Blue Friday is April 22nd, so just wear your blue. Tell people that there's a need in Lane County and you support child abuse prevention in whatever way that looks like. And finally, we have our run coming up with the Eugene Marathon. It's a 5K and it's on the 30th. And you run with the flapjack. It's a real good time.
When it comes to, I mean, when we talk about this prevention month, here locally, what's the situation out there? I mean, you know the numbers. You talk to the people that are aware.
Correct.
Kind of tell us where we're at in 2016.
So over 1,500 children spent at least one day in foster care last year, and I don't think people realize the depth and breadth of that number. And that is one of the highest levels in the state of Oregon. And so we have a huge need. CASA advocated for 431 of those children last year, but that you can see that there are still hundreds that sit on a waiting list for a CASA advocate. And what we know about CASA particularly is that the kids that do have CASAs are moved more effectively and efficiently through the system, and we have a lot of proof of that for many, many years. But CASA is not the only agency that is working on child abuse prevention. There are many community partners. I'm sure you've talked to many of them here. And we are unique in Lane County. The past couple of years, the 90 by 30 initiative has really brought people together around the table, because we're all busy, our plates are all overflowing, and we're making sure that we've got very specific efforts, not only here in Eugene Springfield, but to all the far reaches of Lane County, really focused. If you drive down the city of Cottage Grove, which I did this morning on my way to work, there are wonderful pinwheel gardens all along the downtown area, really talking about Child Abuse Prevention Month. So listen for those things, because there are a lot of kids, not even just kids in foster care, but a lot of kids that are suffering from abusive and neglectful situations here.
You've been on the job for how long?
Since September 1st. Yeah.
So you're coming up
the CASA job, yeah.
Right. What I mean, because so early into it.
Right.
But I mean, as far as everything that you thought it was, things that, you know, as far as awakenings, and all of a sudden you're aware of things that you weren't before. Talk about kind of where you're at and what you're thinking.
Great. I mean, it's a great question. It's everything I think I could have anticipated and so much more. It's a wonderfully welcoming environment. Shout out to amazing Team CASA, who I'm sure are listening right now. We have a beautiful setting, a beautiful house, and then we cannot speak enough about the level of volunteerism. I mean, people really giving of their time for very difficult situations that they have to see and objectively observe and advocate for. Sometimes they're against everybody else at the table advocating for something different for a child, and they do their work and they make sure that those kids, their voices are heard in the court system. So
there are other ways to I mean, you don't have to just be a CASA.
Correct.
To help.
Correct.
So as far as, you know, being a volunteer in other capacities,
right.
How do they do that? Who do they get in touch with? If they want
they can call our office, certainly, and you, Rob, are a perfect example. We have many levels of volunteers. We have Friends of CASA. We have a leaders forum that you are a part of, and there are just so many pieces. We're always fundraising. We're always awareness raising, and we employ lots of, and I don't mean employ just with salaries, but we bring a lot of people to the table to help us get our voices out there, and that's how so many CASAs come to our doors. And when they do, they are welcome there. They are the center of attention.
How many kids currently need a CASA in Lane County?
Just under 200.
Okay, so what is going to be the difference for one of those 200 kids that doesn't have a CASA comparable to a kid who has a CASA? What's the difference in that kid's life going to be?
So more months potentially in and out of foster care. I mean, I'll just use a straw man example. More time in the system or in and out of the system without permanency is really what it boils down to. So a lot of kids may come in, go back to a situation, come in, go to care, be moved, have 5 caseworkers. I mean, there are a lot of things changing in their lives. The CASA provides a permanent voice, because we ask CASAs to stay on cases from beginning to end, and they average about 2 years per case, but we have CASAs that have been on cases for longer than 10 years. We statistically move them through the system more quickly, because we're making sure that all of the promises that have been made for their case, mental health services, substance abuse services for the parent, I mean, there's so many things, are actually followed through on. And that's very difficult in an overburdened system where some caseworkers may have, you know, more than 30 cases or something. We're watching one case.
So the goal then, I mean, in reality, is a permanent living situation for the kid in one regards or another, whether that be with the parents,
correct,
or family members, or potentially adoption.
Correct, absolutely, yes, and it is shown nationwide, because CASA is a nationwide program, that if a child is fortunate enough to have a CASA on the case, we have many testimonies through the years, they're more quickly and efficiently moved through the system. And that's really what it's all about, making sure that those children stay at the forefront. It's easy to get lost in all of the details of some of these cases, and there are many, but to focus specifically on what is best for the child or children in that case.
Katie, let's get people running on the 30th. If they want to be a part of the run, how do they do that?
Absolutely. So you can go to the Eugene Marathon website, or you can go to our website, which is casa-lane.org. Click on our events. It has all of the pricing and run information for the 30th. And you can come out, and some of our CASA employees will flip you some pancakes when you're done.
Ooh, where's it going to be?
It's going to be downtown on the campus. So I'm not certain of the exact route, but you end up at Hayward.
Hayward Field.
Yeah, I think you start at 15th and Agate and 5K.
Flipping those pancakes is a blast. Too. That is so fun. Heather, thank you for coming in. Katie, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Casa-lane.org if you want to get any information. And that's going to do it for us. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6:05 right here on 1120 KPNW.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Hi, Mike here with some info on West Eugene. Did you know there are over 400 businesses on West 6th, 7th, and 11th? Yeah, 400. That includes plenty of motels. Maybe it's your year to host the family reunion and you don't have enough beds. Or your buddies are coming in for the weekend to cheer on the Ducks. And when were your in-laws arriving for that visit? Ugh. Well, they just may have to stay at a motel. Whatever the reason, if you've got extra people in town, take them down to West 6th, 7th, and 11th in Eugene. Go west, sleepy people. Go west.
Hi, this is Bill London, inviting you to join me for another Thirsty Thursday. Coming up on the 21st, we're going to be at Sam's on Wilson in Eugene. It's going to be a chance for you to not only throw back a tasty beer or two, but also qualify to win season passes to the Cuthbert Amphitheater during their big concert series. You'll also have a chance to win Counting Crows with Rob Thomas tickets right there on site. We'll be giving stuff away every 15 minutes. It's coming up on the 21st at Sam's on Wilson, a Thirsty Thursday from your friends here at KPNW.
Tune in to Real Estate Today, weekdays at 5:30 p.m.
I'm Bob Nelson.
And I'm Marcia Edwards of the Real Estate Today Show. We've been standing next to Mark Brockett of Willamette Valley Bank Home Loan Division. He is an amazing lender for residential loans.
He has an opportunity to take a look at your situation, identify, but for instance, should you refinance? It could save you a lot of money for a number of years to come. Fantastic.
That's Mark Brockett. Call him today.
You can reach Mark Brockett at 541-431-0236. That's Willamette Valley Bank Home Loan Division at 315 Coburg Road.
Sun Automotive is proud to sponsor the Northwest edition of Lars Larson. Sun Automotive, with locations in Eugene and Springfield, reminds you, stay safe on the road, keep your car well maintained, and don't text and drive. Sun Automotive.
There's a lot of things out there that we don't understand. It doesn't mean that they don't exist, and that's why I just love your program.
Kind of a messy job. Hey, somebody's got to do it, right? I'm George Norrie.
George Norrie on News Radio 1120 KPNW. Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pam Puso. Facing off in North Carolina, supporters and opponents of a controversial law. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Pam, a rally of Christian activists is planned for this hour in Raleigh in support of a state law that overturned a city ordinance in Charlotte, which allowed transgendered persons to use the public restroom of their gender identity. Mark Creech is with the Christian Action League.
Moreover, the Charlotte ordinance unfairly allowed the government to interfere into private businesses and churches by forcing them to promote ideas and participate in events that conflict with their peacefully expressed beliefs.
The Charlotte ordinance also outlawed discrimination based on gender identity, Pam.
Thanks, Evan. Goldman Sachs has agreed to pay more than $5 billion for the way it packaged, marketed, and sold its mortgage-backed